So my name is Jerry Adelman, and about a year ago, a year and 2 weeks ago, my husband took me to Mayo Clinic after being very, very, very sick and couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. So he took me out to the Mayo Hospital through the emergency room, and they said that I needed to stay. And they ran tests and found that my liver was almost in complete failure. And I was as yellow as the sunshine. And they ran more tests and found that I had up like around 24 hours to live, because they were keeping me alive, basically. And they called my family, they called my children. My children came to the hospital, and they said that the possibility of getting a liver for a transplant was very, very slim, because you have to be compatible with the donor. And to find one at that late notice was going to be very difficult, but that they were going to try. So during this process, during the time that I was waiting for a liver, I was in my room and I was laying in my bed, and I wasn't asleep, but I really wasn't awake. I was in I remember it as if I were talking to you right now, but I don't remember if I was awake or asleep, and I don't think I was asleep. But I noticed somebody came into my room, and he was standing by my bed, and as I looked up at him, I recognized him immediately, and it was St. Sharbel. The reason I recognized him, I was a little startled, but I recognized him because I had been to the St. Sharbel shrine a year before that with my friend who was very sick. About a year ago, I went to St. Joseph Catholic Church with my friend who was very ill to a healing mass. So I remember seeing the pictures of St. Sharbel, and I remember hearing about the healings that were happening there, so that's why my friend and I went. So when I was in the hospital on the day that I was waiting for the liver transplant, if I was going to have one, or whatever was going to happen, St. Sharbel came to my side and stood beside me by my bed. And I kind of sensed a presence coming in, and I looked over, and at first I was a little startled, but I knew who it was. I knew it was St. Sharbel. And so I wasn't afraid. And he came and stood right beside me and put his hand very firmly over my eyes and my forehead. And he very firmly, and I felt the pressure, I felt his firmness. And he started to pray. And immediately I thought, why is he praying over my eyes? Why isn't he praying over my liver? Because my liver isn't filled. And all kinds of things started coming through my mind. And then he said, when he finished, he said, "Don't be afraid." And he said it very, very gruff. And I said, "Okay." And I literally said, "Okay." And he left. And I wasn't afraid. It was like fear had been just lifted off of me. And I think that was my healing, was that my fear was gone. I wasn't afraid anymore. And I felt like I had gone to confession just a couple days before that. And I thought, okay, Lord, if I'm ready, if this is it and it's time for me to go, I'm ready. Take me. And I wasn't afraid. And then I kept thinking, why did he pray over my eyes? Because it was very specific to my eyes.
And you didn't see his eyes, right?
I didn't see his eyes. His cape came over his eyes, and he was kind of like this. And I don't know if his cape, I don't know if I didn't see his eyes because he was like this, or if his eyes were covered. I don't know. I just know I didn't see his eyes, but I still recognized him. I recognized his beard. I recognized him. And so anyway, it wasn't my prayer because I didn't pray to St. Sharbel. It was Tiki's prayer. And then it became the owners, the Chris and Chuck Paps started praying too and asking St. Sharbel to intercede. And by the time they got out there, it was that evening before I went in for the transplant.
And so you got a transplant, right?
I did that evening. That evening, it was at night, very late at night. I don't even know what time it was, but unbeknownst to me, a team of doctors got on a plane at Scottsdale Airport. They took a Learjet, went to San Diego, and picked up a liver. And a woman who was my age, 60 years old, and who had passed away, and her family was keeping her on life support. And they went and picked up that liver and brought it back to Phoenix. And by that night, late in the night, they had the liver ready to transplant. And it was totally and completely compatible, which is very unusual to just take a random liver and have it be compatible too. So anyway, that night I had the transplant. The doctor that happened to be there was one of the best in the world, and he was my doctor. And he came out after the surgery and he told my family that the surgery was like a symphony to him. He said that the liver, when he picked up the liver, he washed it, held it up, and he said it was the most beautiful liver. Only a liver doctor would say that. But he said it was the most beautiful liver. And then when he went to place it into my body, it fit perfectly. He didn't have to cut and push and prod and make it fit. It fit perfectly. And he said the connection fit perfectly together. He didn't have to remake it like they often do.
Right.
And the surgery was only like 4 hours.
Wow.
Relative to.
So from the time you went into the ER until you got your liver, how long was that?
No, it was like within 24 hours I had a new liver.
Wow.
Yeah, it was within 24 hours.
So he appeared to you that day? That
day, when I was in the hospital room waiting to find out what was going to happen to me. And I was alone at the time. When my daughters came in, my daughters came in, and I said, everything's going to be okay. St. Sharbel was just here. And they said, Doctor?
She's going crazy.
They thought, but it wasn't like that. It truly happened. This happened. And I still remember the pressure on my forehead, and I think that's why maybe he did it. Because it was a sensation. It wasn't a dream. I felt that. And then also the other thing too is weeks and weeks later I found out that the medication that I have to take today actually causes loss of eyesight, and many different problems with your eyes. And so he knew. My doctors do tell me, I just went back for my 1 year, 2-day checkup. It took 2 days to go through it over at Mayo. And they said I was a textbook perfect case.